everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Frame. This is a podcast where we talk about movies. I'm Eric.
And I'm Riley.
And this week we are talking about the greatest cinematic event of our lifetime, or at least as told to me by James Cameron before I saw it. We're talking about Avatar, The Way of Water. And I have to mention that I almost burst out laughing when James Cameron popped up on the screen before the showing and was like, thank you so much for coming to watch this, how it's meant to be watched. And I was just like, well, one, I wasn't watching it in 3D. I wasn't watching it in a high frame rate. So really, was it meant, could I have watched this at home and it would have had the same impact? Maybe, but I won't get too far into it. I'm already editorializing. Before we jump into just some of our thoughts on characters and plot, Riley, give me a summary of this movie and to you, how you felt about it, your initial thoughts.
Well, in terms of what the movie actually is, the plot's straightforward. So we're picking up right after the original Avatar movie. I don't know how many years it's been. Jake Sully, the main character of Avatar and Avatar: The Way of Water, he now has a family. He has 4 kids. So I don't know, let's say it's been 10 or so years. I'm not actually sure how long has passed, but you guessed it. The Sky People have returned and they're posing another environmental threat to Pandora, and it's up to Jake and his family to defend against these invaders once again. It's a very simple premise. It's a premise that I think overall the movie did quite well in handling, albeit it's a little simplistic at times, but it's an incredible spectacle to watch. There's no doubt that the technology and then the visual aspect of the film were amazing, and probably I think it's leaps and bounds ahead of kind of what you're seeing in other spaces. I thought the CGI was much better than in most recent Marvel movies, and it's a fun action spectacle. And if that's one thing that I would give it, is if you want to go have a good time, albeit sit for 3 hours and 12 minutes is a long time.
It's a long movie.
But if you want a good sci-fi epic, Avatar: The Way of Water is here for you.
Yeah, I agree. It is a super well-made action movie with a good emotional core to it. I think it has the characters that, I guess, let me rephrase that. It has all the elements of a fantastic movie. For me personally, I think as they all come together, is it incredible to me? Not really. I think that it was entertaining enough, and watching it in the theater in a lot of ways enhanced the experience, I think.
Did you have anyone hooting, pardon me, not hootering. Did you have anyone in your theater hooting and hollering or clapping or cheering at your movie?
No, it was completely silent for me.
In our theater, there was a couple of people who were like clapping and cheering at certain moments. I don't think I've experienced that since maybe the first Avengers movie.
I was going to say, I think the one time I've had people like clap and cheer in a movie was Endgame, I think.
Okay.
I think, yeah, Avengers Endgame, during the big, or maybe right before the big fight, or when all the portals start opening. I specifically remember people cheering about that. But no, I can understand why those people would maybe be in your theater. Maybe they would be like excited. There's some really good moments in this that could, like, to me, elicited a really, really great like feeling of excitement and happiness. But when I left the theater, I was kind of like, I don't know, just kind of washed over me, immersed me for the 3 hours, and then I stepped out of the theater, and I haven't really thought a whole lot about it beyond what I've had to think about for the podcast.
To be honest, that doesn't seem like a great sign for me, because you just watched this movie yesterday.
Yeah.
If you're already like 3, 2, 1 forgetting about it, does it have a lot of longevity? Probably not then.
Well, here's the thing. I think that the iconography, let's say the iconography, the creatures, the character designs, the machines, they are all like, I will remember those aspects of it, I think. But will I remember the like some of the emotional connections between the characters, like outside of Jake and Neytiri?
Yes.
Not really. While being great characters, I'm not going to remember it like I remember Kylo Ren, let's say, as a character. I won't, because Jake is not built up in my head as this like really cool character. He's kind of just an everyman. And thankfully in this movie, they do a lot to change my perspective, or they change my perspective on Jake's character. You know, they develop him. He has some really good moments with his kids. But yeah, before we get into the characters, let's talk about how the movie looks and the technical aspects. Did you watch it in the high frame rate, 3D?
I did not. Actually didn't even see it in IMAX. So while we're talking off the podcast, our movie viewing experience is typically determined by what seats are available. Do you have a 100% seat? And plus, me and my partner were not the biggest fan of 3D movies either. So we went and seen it in the Screen X theater, which did the wrap.
Oh, the Screen X
didn't
saw the Batman.
Yes. Did it add much? Absolutely not. But based on your previous comments, really what I heard was the characters, they're not iconic to you. What is iconic to you is the world of Pandora and the world building.
Mm-hmm.
And the technology helps with that so much. This was a movie where you could genuinely lose yourself and forget that, okay, this is actually all in the back of your mind. You know it's CG, but there's moments where you kind of lose that train of thought.
So immersive.
Yes, it is incredibly immersive. The underwater scenes are absolutely breathtaking. The motion capture and just the facial expressions of everyone, much better, because right before I watched Way of Water, we actually rewatched the original Avatar, and my partner watched it for the first time. The CG in that movie still holds up fantastic. I actually think Avatar looks incredible, and that was made in 2009. This upped it to a next level and made it look that much better.
Yeah, I think I think it was the LA Times in their review called it a triumph of filmmaking, and they're not even saying it in the aspect of like all parts of film. Really, what they were holding in high regard were the visuals and the visual fidelity and the fact that it is a fully CG movie, but it also has live action actors in it, and when they mix the two of them together, it's crazy. There's something in your brain. It just makes it all click together. The lighting, the water, the fire in some scenes rather. And then like when you have the humans and the Na'vi just like basically like all huddled around a camera, you cannot tell the difference. And I don't know if that was you said it holds up. Do you think it is like with the mix of the humans and the Na'vi in Avatar, do you think it looked as good in Avatar 1? Did I say that?
No, absolutely not. No. So you can tell the difference. It's a lot more stark in Avatar 1, but keeping in mind that it's a 2009 movie.
It is pretty old.
This movie is older than 2009, but just throwing back to a childhood favorite here, the Spy Kid franchise. Spy Kids 3, I forget what the title is called, but Spy Kids 3 is based
3D, I think. Isn't it just 3D?
It might be. And they like go into this video game world, and I thought the visuals for that were like the coolest thing. And then I don't know when I watched it last, but maybe like within the past 6 or 7 years, I seen it again or scenes of it again. Holy crap, does it not look good? I didn't get that impression with Avatar 1. I thought Avatar 1, especially the world of Pandora, I think the Na'vi characters and how they mix with the human characters, a little bit easier to tell that it's a more stark difference, but the world of Pandora especially looks phenomenal still.
And the fact that they were able to have that level of fidelity in scenes where there's water, like clearly the human actors are in water, actually like, floating around. then to see like the water like washing over like the Na'vi characters and just like or the creatures or whatever, it's yeah, I think that is the power of this movie, is that it is just so immersive. You don't for 1 second ever get taken out of it. And I think that goes beyond just it looking good. It also sounds really good too.
Oh, everything about it. Actually, I probably wish that I did a little bit more research or looked into how they filmed it, at least the underwater scenes, because I know they constructed some sort of apparatus, and that's what they did all the filming in. But it would be interesting to look into how it was actually done and what the experience was like for the actors doing it, because a lot of this movie is underwater, like,
yeah,
or on water.
At least like 75% of it, I think, is either on or directly in the water. Yeah.
Yes.
It's just for reference. For reference, the Spy Kids movie number 3 is called Game Over.
Game Over. Okay. I just remember like Sylvester Stallone was the big villain, or
Elijah Wood is the guy.
Yes, as the guy.
The guy.
He looks so nerdy enough.
How far we've come from Spy Kids 3D to Avatar: The Way of Water.
But like truly, you look at some of the recent Marvel movies, like take one of the biggest blockbusters for Marvel recently, albeit not well received either critically or from audiences, but the new Thor movie. Some of the visuals in that. Did you ever watch Love and Thunder?
No, I haven't seen it.
Some of the visuals in that were truly not good. Like, yeah, if you want, this is the example that always gets thrown around, but there's like this one scene where Thor is talking with some kid and they're using some magical means, and the kid's head pops up basically like in the middle of a room, but it looked like the old Wizard of Oz wizard talking. Like, do you know that scene, Wizard of Oz, where there's like the green head pops up in the middle of nowhere and then he's just talking like that? It's a very similar scene to that, and you just think this is a 2021 or 2022 movie. You have almost an unlimited budget and this is what it's looking like. Avatar: The Way of Water, I did not picture, or I did not see one off scene in it. At least that I can remember, in a 3-hour and 12-minute movie.
Yeah, where it's all CG. Like the CG is just so consistent all the way through. And they there was one scene with the it was when the boats were chasing after the Tulrok, the whale.
Oh, the whales. Yeah.
When they slide off the back of the ship, and I was wondering, like, were they CG boats that they like green screen the actors onto, or were they like real boats that they built up to be like futuristic looking, because they moved and they looked just so realistic. So I wondered, there were a few other scenes like that. A lot of them you could say, oh, that's like definitely just like CG. But some of them, they ride that line, and I cannot believe just how good it all looked. And like you said, for 3 hours, not one thing looks out of place.
Well, and one of the hardest things, I think when you get a heavy CG blockbuster movie, one of the hardest things, and this is my problem with DC, is when you get to that climax scenes, there's so much going on that it becomes very obvious. So I'm thinking Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, where they're fighting, what's the thing? I don't know I forget what the creature's name is. Or in Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, when she fights Ares, and it's like explosions, fires, it's dark.
It's visually very, very,
yeah, and it starts looking unnatural. Even in the climax of this scene, I thought the fire looked pretty good. I thought the shadows were all looking very excellent. It became, obviously it's a little bit more noticeable now that you're in a CGI world, but it looked really good for what it was. I think fire and shadows is something, well, and I'm not an animator or a CG specialist by any means, but I think doing fires and shadows and obviously water, those are probably some of the hardest things to actually get right in a CG movie and actually make it seem realistic.
Oh, definitely. And the fact that, it's all basically being done, and I don't know I guess this is something that would be interesting to see when we get to have like special features and all that kind of stuff,
Yes.
and documentaries made about the movie. I'd love to know like how they go about creating a scene, because like obviously part of the reason why a lot of like games and movies take a long time is because the developers or the filmmakers, when they're using lots of CG, need to create a pipeline. They need to create like a set of steps to work through building something for the movie, like an asset maybe. I wonder if that's why this movie took so long to make, because they are trying to push the envelope and then also make it sustainable to like develop, assets, lighting, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's something I want to see. I want to see a documentary of this.
Oh, I think, yeah, I think watching the special features or something like that would be good. But when you're talking about why it took so long to make, do you mean from Avatar 2009 to why are we just getting it now in 22?
Yeah, is there a reason?
I don't know this for sure, but it was my understanding it was kind of like a Star Wars prequel versus sequel thing where James Cameron wanted the technology to do this stuff underwater and make it look really good. And I think the technology in 2009 wasn't there yet to meet what he wanted. Don't know that for sure though. That was
Right.
always my understanding, but
Sounds like a James Cameron thing to do, potentially.
probably. But you know what? Now that the movie has proven to be a financial success, it's still moving up the charts here. I think I checked this morning, we're around 1.7. I think we're approaching 1.8 billion.
Yeah.
It's number 9, or not number 9, number 7 in terms of top grossing movies of all time. Avatar 3 is already confirmed to be coming now. And it sounds like Avatar 4 is also going to be coming. So we're really looking at like a 2-year wait between each of those movies now. So hopefully it'll help now that it's being a little bit more contemporary. But I also wonder, is the reason why Avatar: The Way of Water is doing so well now because people are like, why has it taken 13 years?
Yeah,
If we're
I think that's
these every 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Will it have the same impact? I don't know. We'll see when Avatar 3 comes out. But I think maybe now's a good time to start talking about what we thought of the actual movie, the plot.
The plot of it, yeah. I just high level thoughts from me. The movie is 3 hours long. I really only looked at my watch like once. It definitely it did a good job of keeping me immersed and keeping me engaged with it. But I think the first third of the movie, while having lots to like a lot of heavy lifting to do in terms of setting things up, I think it maybe could have been shortened, truncated a little bit. It drags, in my opinion, the most. And then the second third of the movie actually paced pretty well. And then the last hour is really well paced. So it definitely gets better as it goes on plot-wise. I just think that there's something that could have been done about the first half. Or the first third rather. I'd have to watch it again to know, like, kind of pick out some of the things that I would take out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are my thoughts though. What about you?
As a whole, I thought the plot was enough to keep me entertained for what is a very long movie. I think if you want to be really simplistic about it, the movie can be broken down roughly into maybe 3 acts. The first act being the Sky People are back, and setting up the stage for their return and what their return looks like. The second stage being Jake figuring out that, or at least Jake deciding, okay, the Sky People are after me because I'm their leader. How am I going to protect my family? Taking his family to a new location, to a new tribe, beginning to learn their ways. And then the third act being, well, the Sky People are here. We're going to duke it out a little bit. maybe my disappointment with the plot and the things that I don't like was there was a lot of threads that I thought could have been very interesting and made for a more complex dynamic between the characters. And those complexities were never realized. I think maybe at points the story was a little bit too simple and I wanted a little bit more out of it. But it was enough to keep me interested. It was enough to be a sci-fi epic. You're not going to be disappointed by the story, but I think maybe with you, you're going to want a little bit more out of it, and it just doesn't have that to give.
Yeah, if you go into with expectations of a super deep drama between characters and these warring factions, like you're not going to get any of that. It very much is a story just about Jake and his family. Some of the other bigger battles or conflicts are quite inconsequential in this movie. I'm sure that in the third one, there will be more to do with the humans and the aspect of them trying to colonize Pandora because Earth is dying, which is kind of a throwaway line in the beginning. And I thought, okay, that's going to be something that immediately, as soon as she mentioned it, I knew that was going to just be something that would be touched on in the third movie. And this movie feels very much like a second movie in a trilogy. I don't know if you got that, or second-ish act of a trilogy. Yeah, I don't know if you agree.
I agree with your comment, but I'm going to take it a step further where this feels like a second movie in a 7-part series. And he has movies planned down the roads. There are things that occur in this movie, and we'll talk about it kind of towards what happens at the end of the movie. But there's definitely things set up that I don't even think are going to be addressed they'll be addressed in the third movie. I don't think we'll get all the answers. I think there are building blocks being laid for a much bigger series, because that's what James Cameron wants. He said he has 6 or 7 movies planned for this, and will he get them all? I don't know. It'll depend on how Avatar 3 performs. It'll depend on how Avatar 4 performs. But I guess my question for you right now is, looking at the start of the movie, were you satisfied with how the conflict began and how the Sky People returned and just how the first, let's say, 30 minutes of the movie progressed?
Like I said, I think it dragged a little bit. I think that it would have been interesting to start the movie right where the Sky People come back and their rockets burn up all of the forest around where they land. Like, that was visually very impressive, terrifying, because all the animals that you saw from the first movie just get obliterated. I think it was kind of clunky that Jake is like, this is my family, these are, this is how, this is kind of my story up until now. And it's like told in like kind of like little vignettes. I think there's a term for like writing where you have to, or not, you don't have to, but like the most efficient way of storytelling is starting like as close to the initial conflict as possible and then learning about all of the other things in the first act. And I think that the movie is very much like, okay, here is like the prologue, which is fine if that's what James Cameron wanted. And then here's the first act, second act, third act. That's my issue. It's already sets up like, oh, this is the older brother, this is the younger brother, this is the adopted one, this is this is the youngest. I think that like you could do it more organically if you just put them all into a room or some sort of scene where they get to interact, because I liked all the interactions that the family had when they in the second act when they were working through some things about like fitting into the new tribe, and they had like the little family meeting. I think those were all really good. I think, I definitely wanted a little less of it being just told to me, and rather they maybe could have just shown it to me. And I think starting with the Sky People just like coming back and destroying everything would have been way more impactful, because at the end of Avatar 1, it feels like a very happy ending. It's like Jake gets to be a Na'vi, he gets his mind transferred into his avatar, and then they kick all the Sky People out. So I think in terms of impact, there are things that could have been done. Is it horrible? No, it just served its function very literally. for getting the movie rolling.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of your comments, though I will say one of my favorite things about the first Avatar movie and I guess even Avatar 2 here, I really do like the narration throughout it. I like when Jake when it steps back a little bit and Jake explains what's happening. I don't know, there's something about the narration style. I like that part.
Okay,
Interesting. Could it have been shorter? Absolutely. Could they have maybe done a little bit better of a job in bringing the conflict first and using those narrations to either explain some things after the conflict occurs, just so you have that initial hook? Maybe. I think for me, one thing I didn't like about the movie was you always knew the Sky people were probably going to return. I don't think anyone had the expectation at the end of Avatar 1 that, okay, they're one and done. They're just going to leave this rare resource on the planet and just accept their loss. Also, I don't think that resource was ever mentioned again in Avatar 2.
Well, that's yeah, it's a new resource. Yeah.
Very funnily named unobtainium, so very on the nose. But
yeah,
what I did, maybe this is just a plot hole, maybe. Yes, there's the ability through Awa to transfer consciousness from a human body to a Na'vi body. So obviously we're already dealing with something very sci-fi. But if the technology existed to upload your consciousness to like a thumb drive, why did we even have Avatar 1 to begin with? Because then why didn't they do that with Jake's brother? The whole thing about Avatar 1 was they used this jarhead soldier instead of his PhD genius brother because his brother died.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just have his brother's consciousness on a thumb drive and upload him
to like straight into? Well, wait, hold on. So the Colonel, he is like completely in his avatar body.
Yes.
The humans have the capabilities of doing that. They didn't use the tree. So like you're right. Why? Maybe it didn't exist in those days of like, is it a new thing? It definitely is very much like, okay, here is like a MacGuffin that we have to have because we want to bring back the Colonel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could that have been better explained? Sure. I know Jessie, my partner, didn't like that aspect at all. When she watched Avatar 1, it was a hooray moment. The Colonel is dead. The Colonel is a one-dimensional absolute monster who you are meant to hate.
Yeah.
And I am cheering that he's dead. And now you're starting off Avatar 2 saying,
comes back.
Yeah, we killed him, but actually, he's right here again. It kind of undoes a lot of that satisfaction from Avatar 1. But progressing the plot just like an inch forward here, really what happens after the humans arrive and their home is, at least the forest component of Pandora is destroyed a little bit. They're really quick in expanding, gathering resources. They make it clear that the technology jump that they have now compared to when they originally colonized, it's light years. They said they did in 1 year what it took for the original
30 years or something.
Expectation. Yes. Yeah. So what happens after, Jake kind of leaves, and then Spider, one of the human characters who was left behind after the original Sky people were kicked off of the island, or off of Pandora, he's captured. Turns out Spider's dad is actually the Colonel. And what happens is you get this side arc, which I wanted more out of. This side arc is really Spider and the Colonel having this interplay where you're kind of constantly wondering, is a father-son dynamic happening here? The Colonel's also starting to learn some of the ways from the Na'vi people. What I wanted from that, I almost wanted the Colonel to undergo a bit more of a Jake Avatar 1 arc where, okay, he's starting to immerse himself in the way of the Na'vi. He instead of using human technology to tame one of, I don't know what the birds are called, but to tame one of those birds, instead he does it traditionally. He wrestles it, he connects with it, and he learns to fly. I wanted him to gain a little bit more appreciation, or maybe just a little bit of complexity from that, where, okay, he's still going to be a nasty, more or less one-dimensional villain. He's still going to be burning down villages of the Na'vi people. Maybe he's going to feel bad about it now, though, just because he understands what that connection with nature is like a little bit more. He understands their way of life a little bit more. No, the whole
Nothing happens.
He gains nothing from it. And I wanted something more. And I thought that could have been a little bit of an interesting way to add some depth to what was already a very one-dimensional character in Avatar 1. Let's make him appreciate things a little bit more, and then maybe he can think through what he's doing and say, is this the right decision? But instead, it's very, no, I am on the human side. I am going to do whatever is necessary. I actually think you're a horrible people. I'm going to burn you down. I don't have any remorse about killing you. I don't know if that's what I wanted from this movie in terms of his character, if they were to bring him back. I struggle with understanding why they would bring him back if he's just going to be the same.
They jump through a lot of hoops to bring him back, and they don't do anything with him. I don't know if they just really like the idea of this character. I don't know if James Cameron just really likes this character. I'm wondering if maybe this is like a third movie arc that will happen because of the ending, and we'll get into some spoilers. If do you think we should just get into spoilers about some of this, so we can get talking about the climax? In the end, during the climax, Spider saves the Colonel. The Colonel was dead for, all intents and purposes. He was dead. Spider went out of his way to save him, and they have one last exchange, the two of them. And after all of this, after all the time they spent together, all that kind of stuff, he asks Spider to come with him. And I just think it was really weird. I think it makes sense for his character, for Spider's character, I think emotionally and all that kind of stuff. Logically, it makes sense that he would see his father figure laying there almost dead and would want to save him. But I think when you take it into the whole context of the movie, like you said, he's so one-dimensional that this last scene is the time when they wanted to impart some sort of emotionality or deeper emotional level to this character. It's just not enough. I did not believe that was it was so out of left field for him as a character. So yeah, I think I agree. I thought Spider was going to be a vehicle for changing him as a character, especially when a lot of the things they do is extremely brutal, like burning down villages and witnessing the killing of these whales. I can't even remember what their names are. Tulok or whatever. But anyways, these intelligent beings, maybe that in combination with Spider's character could have changed him, but they didn't decide to go with that. So I wonder if maybe it's just a thing of James Cameron having a bigger plan, and that's kind of pervades most of this movie.
Well, turning to Spider specifically here, and this goes with my comments with the Colonel on that whole initial arc of them together, kind of around the end of the first act, start of the second act. There's a lot of flip-flopping. So initially Spider's like, no, this guy is bad. I understand what he did was bad. I understand the way of the Na'vi. He's not a good guy. I want to disassociate myself with him. And he has a very blunt comment when some of the Na'vi kids are talking about fathers, and he's like, well, sometimes you don't want to know who your father is. Sometimes it's not a good thing. And then very quickly he kind of warms up to the Colonel, maybe not as a father, but just as a figure. He recognizes that there's a parental connection, whether the Colonel disagrees with it or not. But they start making jokes. He starts willingly teaching them the language. There's the moment where he helps him bond with one of their bird creatures. Yeah. But then there's also different scenes where he's actively fighting against his dad. Like during the whale scene, he's smashing the controls to the boat. Or he sees his father and his crew burning down one of the water people villages, and he's apologizing to everyone. He's saying the Colonel's horrible. It just doesn't make sense. He knows his dad is a bad person, but then it keeps flip-flopping back and forth. And Jessie, she actually absolutely hates that Spider rescued the Colonel at the end. For me, it's a little bit different. Did I think that moment was earned based on what happened in Avatar 2? No. But when I also just think about it a little bit more simplistically, this is a kid who's however old, 10, I don't know, 10 to 14 is my guess.
Yeah, probably.
Still a kid. He's never known his dad. Yes, his dad is a bad person and he recognizes that. Yes. But also, is he so emotionally shut down that he's just gonna like let his dad die and drown in the water when he knows that he might still be alive? There's bubbles coming up. No, like I can maybe see the justification.
Spider's not
kid saying,
yeah, he's not bad. He is a kid. You're right.
yeah. So does he know that the Colonel vowed to kill Jake and like all the Na'vi people? Yes, but also that's still technically his dad. And is it fair for the character? Is it fair for the character and a kid to want to at least drag him out of the water and what happens after, but not be the final nail in the coffin on his death? I don't know. I think so. Maybe that's something that hopefully will get explored in the third movie. But in general, I don't think really anything to do with the Colonel or the Spider and the arcs relating to them paid off. I'm hoping that'll come in the third or fourth movie, but I didn't out a lot of this runtime.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It did pad out the runtime. And I do think you start to see the inklings of like the plot that could happen in Avatar 3, you know, with him saving the Colonel and then going back to Jake and his family and not saying anything about it. And then also kind of, you know, Jake essentially adopts him on the spot because they lose their oldest son, and, you know, they repeat that line, a son for a son, you know. I think that there might be something, but yeah, does that really make them not having a payoff in this movie a good thing? No, it's not. It could have been better resolved, I think.
Well, and also, just because we're on the topic of Spider really accepts the idea that Neytiri? Is that Neytiri? Pardon me.
Neytiri, yeah.
Yes. Really accepts that initial suggestion that Neytiri is like a beast and is kind of one to be afraid of just from a video. But, and once again, I'm kind of stealing this from Jesse a little bit. She makes the point that Spider knew that Jake and Neytiri fought against the Colonel and that they'd killed the Colonel. That was never a surprise.
No.
Why now, after living, like literally growing up with the Na'vi people and Neytiri and Jake, why they're kind of suddenly having why is he having these doubtful thoughts in his head? Obviously Neytiri does something very awful at the end of the movie and is fully willing to kill Spider just because Spider is the son of the Colonel. Is that scary? Yes. Should that cause him to maybe rethink his relationship with the Na'vi, or at least with Neytiri and Jake? Absolutely. But up until that point, the background shadow of Adele, I don't think that was earned, and they also don't address what Neytiri did to Spider at all. There is no consequences for that.
No, because he gets adopted into the family and could like the fact that like Neytiri is kind of his like adoptive mother in that way. If you really think about it, that's kind of horrifying. And they do show her and they shoot her in a way, and I think Zoe Saldana, is that her? Is that how you pronounce her last name? She has this like really good physicality to the mocap performance. I think she embodies like Neytiri as a character really well. And in those scenes where she's like stricken with grief and she's like trying to save her kids, she does come off as a bit of a beast. And it's cool that Spider sees that. But then the movie goes on and actually is like, yes, she is a beast. She should not be trusted. So it's like weird. There's the flip-flopping of a character, but then also the movie and the other character motivations. Maybe it's meant to not be so simple, but it just comes off as a little confusing if you look too hard at it.
Well, and that might also be a justification for Spider wanting to, or at least choosing to save his dad, because his adopted mom, or at least someone he's really close with, tried to kill him, whereas as bad as the Colonel was, he actually didn't accept that. He said, okay, I'm going to release this person. Don't kill my son.
Yep.
Or don't.
Yep. He did. And that, I think that is a good motivation for Spider to not let the Colonel die, because the Colonel let him go.
But none of it is earned.
No.
It's not
Not in
this stage.
No, I don't think so. And it was kind of an awkward scene at the end. I was kind of just shaking my head like, what? He's going to come back. As inevitable as the Sky People coming back in this movie was,
Yeah.
he's not going to just let this go. Like, his sole mission is to kill Jake. So
Yes.
it strikes me as like an immature decision just for the sake of the next movie. Because you could say, yeah, he's just a kid and he wants to do the right thing, sure. But also, a 14-year-old, I think, could understand that that the Colonel is like a very dangerous person that maybe should not be allowed to exist on Pandora. I don't know.
Well, I also felt like it was out of character for Neytiri too, because I recall Avatar 1, and there was like a scene where Jake, when he first initially gets lost in the forest and he has to survive for himself, there's a scene where he's basically attacking dogs, or Pandoran dogs, and she has to kill a couple of them, and she was like, this is so unnecessary, this is something to be sad about. And I'm just thinking she had such reverence and respect for the Avatar life on Pandora and not having a need to kill. And now suddenly she's like completely willing to sacrifice a human life and someone that she literally helped raise and is friends with her children. Like, I don't know, it made a little too quick to want to kill somebody, but also she was just bouncing back from the loss of her oldest, and obviously there was a lot of emotion and upset there. But
yeah,
I don't know, there's just a few character moments in this that don't make sense to me, and I want answers to them. And obviously James Cameron has a plan. There's going to be a couple more movies. He's laying some complexities. Some of the decisions seem to be arbitrary and not make a lot of sense.
Do you think that some of those character motivations could be remedied by like the lack thereof, or at least seemingly lack thereof? Do you think that if the movie wasn't trying to fit so much into it and took its time with some of these character-driven scenes or character-driven like moments, do you think it would have come off a little bit less shallow? Like, do you think James Cameron could have taken his time with it?
I think so. Honestly, I feel like there was enough time to flush out these character moments and have them make a little bit more sense. One thing, like, I've seen James Cameron make a comment, and I think I don't know if it was with regard to Avatar 1 or Avatar 2, but it was basically a comment where there was like so much flying in, I think it was Avatar 1. There was so much flying, and the flying scenes did not progress the plot in any way. They were just there because he wanted to see them. He thought it looked cool, and if he wanted to see those scenes, then maybe other
in the movie
as well. Yeah. And he recognized, like, these extended flying scenes, do they push the narrative forward at all? Not really, but they're cool to watch. And I think there's a lot of shots in Avatar 2 which are very similar. There is a good chunk of the movie is spent just being underwater and learning and feeling the nature underwater. And it's a lot of visual spectacle. Could that have been condensed a little bit? And would you still get the same awe in terms of what the water is like and what the nature under the water is like, and dedicate a little bit more time to fleshing out the characters? Yes, I think you could have. I feel like, if anything, time could have been reallocated, or maybe you say, I still want this world building to be one of the primary focuses of the movie. It's the way of water. Let's showcase it. Cut out some of the other stuff then.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're really not going to properly flesh out, say, the Spider or the Colonel arc, okay, do we need 30 minutes of them journeying together, learning the way of the Na'vi people, but also having that not really mean anything in terms of the plot? You probably could have gotten rid of it. Like, if anything, the scenes where Spider is teaching the Colonel the language, the scene where Spider teaches the Colonel and some of the other soldiers how to fly, cut those out, and you could have keep like the whale hunting scene in. You could have had less of it, and I don't think it would have changed their arc at all.
Yeah, I think the arc is so thin with the current scenes that are in the movie that you can. It's almost like yeah, if you made the scenes with Spider and the Colonel just a little more, I don't know. I guess you could maybe make them a little more dense. This is me. I'm not a writer by trade or anything. I just think that like you have a character that is like Spider's kind of complex. I will say, but he's interacting with this one-dimensional character that like is almost feigning to like want to be close to Spider, but it's like for his own gain. So it's like,
Yes.
yeah, it just really, maybe it's supposed to like be a comment on like Spider being a kid and naive. That's me speculating because nowhere in the movie does it say or give me that impression. So yeah, I think that, and this actually helps us segue into the next segment here. We're talking a lot about Spider. He's actually very pivotal to the whole plot of the movie. How does he stack up to the rest of the characters in your mind?
You know what? I'll say this. Spider to me is like the Kylo Ren of the new Star Wars trilogy, but not nearly as iconic. It was a character that I think, but yeah, I think there's a lot of potential that is left on the table, and it's something that maybe we can redeem in the later movies, but for this one, I think he was fumbled a little bit, and that's no shade on the actor who played Spider. I actually thought the actor did a good job. I think he worked with the material as best as he could. I think you nailed it on the head where the problem is it's what's supposed to be a three-dimensional character bouncing off of a one-dimensional character, and there just being a mismatch there. In terms of characters, probably my favorite or one of my favorite characters, I really liked Kiri.
Kiri's good. Yeah.
I think we're going to have the same issue. Well, actually, maybe not. Kiri is set up to be a very important character, and by the end of the movie, you get this realization that, okay, she's probably going to play...
Literally has superpowers.
Well, yeah, let's not beat around the bush, maybe. So Kiri, for anyone who hasn't seen it, she is strongly suggested to be the daughter of Awa, which is the I'm going to call it the
mother.
Yeah, the mother of old Pandora, the goddess entity.
Yeah.
We don't know how she was born. It's not explicitly said, but it's suggested maybe that when Sigourney Weaver's character in the first Avatar, I forget what the professor's name is, but when she first tries to transfer consciousness from her human body, which was dying, to her Na'vi body, which didn't work, that maybe somehow the Na'vi body got pregnant maybe through
it's like an immaculate conception almost.
So Kiri, as a character, is actually not the daughter of Jake's character. Instead, she's adopted. But throughout this movie, she has a very strong connection with nature and with Awa that other people don't have. And by the end of the movie, she almost has like an Avatar Airbender type. She has powers.
The plants and the scene where she crushes the sub with the anemone.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes.
And you get like inklings of that throughout the movie. And then when it comes up, I actually was like, okay, she is like the Luke Skywalker character. if we had to really like, or maybe Anakin. Maybe she's an Anakin.
But I will say this. I actually liked the progression, and I thought they ended it on the right note.
Yeah.
From the start of the movie, she wanted to know about her origin, why she exists. She wants to understand why she has this strange relationship with Awa that no one else has. While she's in the water village, she's exploring her relationship with nature a little bit more. She connects with the water world's is it called the spirit tree? I forget what.
Yeah, I believe they have their own version of the spirit tree. Yeah.
But it deepens her relationship with Awa, and by the end, she has this strong command over nature that feels to me more earned than what a lot of the characters, or where a lot of the characters end by the end of the movie. And I think it sets up, you don't know where she's going to go, you don't know how she's going to play in the overall story, but it leaves a thread that's interesting enough that I actually would see Avatar 3 just to know what happens with
Yeah,
Kiri.
I agree. I think that's probably the most compelling mystery of this entire movie. Um, because in Avatar 1, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Awa was very much just like the vehicle for the final battle. Like they had to protect the spirit tree. It like contains like Awa's spirit, or like is the source of Awa like through the jungle. And so it was pretty thin. Like it was just a background thing. It was just a sci-fi background thing. It was kind of being studied by the scientists and like maybe explain like why the avatar system worked. I don't know, but here it very much is turning into something tangible, like like a power, or like a really physical manifestation. Like there's physical manifestations of it, so that's kind of cool. As somebody who is a huge sci-fi fan, sci-fi and fantasy, this is like world building 100% done correctly. Probably the best sci-fi like world building. It's like on par with Star Wars, I think, like in terms of the visual fidelity and like the how creative it all is. That's a bit of a tangent, but yeah, I think Kiri was probably my favorite character. I liked I actually really liked Jake in this movie too. Like I didn't love Jake in Avatar, but I think they did a lot of interesting things with his character in this movie, and he became more of a three-dimensional character, like a fully fleshed out character in this movie. His motivations are very simple, but he's also a simple character. And I think that he, while not being the emotional core of the movie, he has more emotional aspects to him than the first Avatar. Yeah, I don't know if you feel the same way about Jake, or if he was kind of inconsequential to your experience.
If for me, Jake was he was not the emotional core. I think the children were obviously meant to be the emotional core, and I thought they got the older brother. I think got sidelined a little bit. And Took's not really that relevant, but in terms of Loak and Kiri, I think they were the driving force of the story, and I thought they had a strong payoff at the end. Jake, yes, is he the most complicated character? No. I thought Sam Worthington as an actor, he's charismatic enough that Avatar 1 still had a blast with Jake. Here, more complicated. The moral of the story for Jake, and then the basis of all of his decisions in this movie, is he wants to protect his family. The whole movie, really, it's about two things. It's about the environment and Pandora and Awa as a whole, and it's about family. Either when you're looking at the Colonel and Spider, or whether you're looking at the water people protecting their family, or Jake and Neytiri and the kids. A little bit more depth to him here, but I still found him to be fairly simplistic. I don't think there's not a lot of meat on Jake's character at the moment. I also found it interesting where at the start, for whatever reason, he's chosen as the chief or the clan leader, and then immediately takes off that title and goes off to the runner village.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's charismatic enough for me at any point that I have fun watching him, but not a lot to him as a character.
Yeah, I think I was a little worried about him being like a tropey military dad in this movie, and he kind of is.
Yes.
But I think they did a good job of not letting him slide into that. I'm happy that he is kind of not the main character in this one. It's like I like that the kids, is more specifically Kiri and Loak, like they, like you said, are very good, and it's cool that while not being a complete passing of the torch, they did a good job of introducing these characters. Like I'm fairly invested in their family as a whole. It was not they were not throwaway characters in the same way that I think, like, unfortunately, like Neytiri got a little sidelined on this one. She doesn't have a lot of growth. She has there's some good moments with Jake, but doesn't really do anything on her own, which is kind of unfortunate because I like her as a character, or I think she at least could have had some interesting things done with her. Trying to think of any other characters. Do you think it was interesting?
Well,
I was gonna just ask you one more thing about Curie. Do you think it was smart that they did you like the casting of Sigourney Weaver to play Curie?
oh, I yeah, no, I didn't have a problem with that because I think it gives you that strong connection that she is actually the
I think
the scientist.
Was that her name? Grace?
Yes,
Grace Augustine or something like that, or Augustus. Yeah.
Though this is something else that Jesse pointed out. When you think about Sigourney Weaver, who is in her 70s now, playing what is supposed to be a young daughter, Curie, just imagine the actors actually playing these scenes out, like when Jake is having the heart-to-heart with Curie in the water hut. Sam Worthington as an actor is half of her age, I think. Like, Sam is probably in his 40s, is my guess. So just like, it's fun to imagine the actual acting where the kids are interacting with someone who is probably 4 or 5 times their actual ages. Interesting to get into that mindset, but I think but she as a character and the casting choice, I thought it was excellent. She did a great job in this movie.
And whatever they did to her voice, or maybe she just did it herself, because, I mean, she's very talented. I think she could do this. She does this thing where she changes, her voice has changed a little bit. And I like that when you're listening to her talk, you can kind of hear Sigourney Weaver's voice through it. But then other times you're like, oh, this is actually like a new sounding character. Yeah. 100% sells you on her being Grace's daughter. And I really liked the scene where she hooks up to the spirit tree and has that conversation with Grace, and then I obviously, like, it's a little cliched, but it was really cool. I think that really added to Curie's character, and then to have it end so abruptly was kind of horrifying. The end of not like in a gross out way or anything, but just it was shocking, and it made me root for Curie to find some way to maybe get her mom back, or figure out more about her powers and the connection to Eywa. So yeah, sleeper hit character of the movie, I think, in Curie.
The other thing I really want to, like, I know there's a lot of memes out there about this Avatar franchise kind of mimicking the animated Avatar franchise. But now in my mind, I'm just thinking, okay, Curie, she's somewhat mastered the way of the water. I know that James Cameron has plans to introduce a Fire Nation that's a little bit more of an aggressive Na'vi tribe.
No way.
Really? Is she gonna? Oh yeah. Is she gonna master the way of the fire? Like, is she gonna start
collecting the powers of the Avatar?
Yeah.
Oh,
I kind of want to know.
Interesting.
Wow. But just turning to Jake for a second again, one plot theme that I actually really liked was the start of the movie was Jake taking a very paternalistic approach to protecting his children. He quite literally picks them up, uproots their whole life to go take them somewhere else, because he felt like, as the father, and once again, he is at heart a jarhead military type person. While he's more integrated into Na'vi culture, he still has that dynamic and a lot of those preconceived notions about what a father's supposed to be like and what a father's role is within a family. So at the start, it's very paternalistic. We need to protect the children. But throughout the movie, the children kind of start fighting their own battles. They're starting to learn things on their own. By the end of the movie, it's actually the children who save the parents.
Loak saves
Curie and Loak.
Yeah.
And
that's pretty cool.
I thought that was a nice conclusion to that plot thread. I liked how the movie ended on that note. I thought it gave the children the emotional and story payoff that they deserved, and I hope it sets up for a more collaborative family in terms of how they're going to be solving their problems as they come in Avatar 3 and 4. That was nice. I liked that.
Yeah, it passes the torch without explicitly passing the torch, which is really nice. And that final scene with Loak and him in the ship as it's sinking, and Loak is like trying to get him to calm down, and Jake doesn't think he's going to be able to swim out. It was emotionally very hard hitting. I think.
Yeah.
And I think one of somebody that I know who is a parent said that for them, it was like having watched Avatar as like essentially a kid or a young adult, and then like now watching Avatar 2, being a parent, to them it hit really hard. And I think that is where a lot of the emotional core of the movie lies, is parenting, and how do you protect your family, and how do you let your kids fight their own battles? Because a lot of that, it was kind of funny. The kids would go and do something and then have to radio home and be like, hey, we're in a really bad situation. And Jake would have to come and save them. That happens like 2 or 3 times and then gets flipped on its head. A good payoff in my mind.
Yeah. What was your thoughts, just kind of while we're on the climax? Where did the water people go? Like, let's just be blunt about it. The ship is going down. Things are sinking.
Plot hole.
Where are they? Did they just like kill the sky people? All the sky people are gone except for the colonel, whoever's left on the ship, and they're like, Jake has this. Let's go.
It's not like the ship went very far from where they were initially fighting. It just crashed on some rocks. Man, I don't know. That was really weird. That was one of the times where the immersion was broken for a second for me. Like, why did they just stop fighting? Did they just think not my problem anymore and then left? They could have done something a little bit more reasonable logically. Like, it would have taken one scene. With how many scenes are in this movie, it would have taken one scene to explain it. Maybe they took heavy losses. I don't know. I'm James Cameron. I'm not going to do your job for you. But like, there's something that they could have done, and it was really weird that it had to come down to Jake and Neytiri alone. It kind of takes the whole concept of them going to another tribe and being accepted into another tribe, or trying to be accepted into another tribe. It takes that idea and throws it away, because you could have had some kind of payoff there with them all working together. And they do kind of work together, but not when it really matters. It felt very video gamey.
Like, I almost wonder if this would have been a good way to handle it. So the ship is sinking. Kiri sends out those light up fishes to help guide the path, and Loak's helping his dad calm down. What if instead of just swimming out, maybe either the chief or maybe the kids from the chief's family, they come in swimming in on their, I don't know what you call the things that they ride on, but maybe it's someone. Yeah, maybe it's someone from, or a few people from the water tribe, who then use their creatures and swim through, following the lights that Kiri set out, and then Jake and Loak and Neytiri and the kids can grab on, and then they swim out together. Or if you don't want that, maybe have something where when a family is meeting on that island at the end of the movie, add another scene or two where maybe now you realize the battle's over and all the water tribe people come and they meet at that island, or something to show that they're still there. I don't know what.
Or that they had to run for some reason, right? They could have had something.
Yes.
I said I wouldn't do James Cameron's job, but I'll tell you how I would have done this scene. I think that it would have been interesting if we wanted to, it would take away the scene where Loak and Jake are like thinking they're going to die. You could still have that in there. But I thought, and I was really hoping this was going to happen, that the water tribe were going to come back with their whale friends and then lift the boat up out of the water. And I think that would have been it would have completed the circle. Right? It would have completed the circle of them working with the water tribe, and it would have completed the circle of showing the Tulak or Tularok or whatever not being violent, and the whole, all of them coming back. And then maybe that one that was an outcast could have been accepted back in. Like, I just feel like that would have been maybe a little bit more of a heavy hitting moment, but they didn't do that.
Actually, that is the perfect suggestion. And I think you easily could have kept Loak and Jake and have their moment, because at that moment they think they're drowning. So Loak is prepping him, saying, we're going to be able to do this. It takes away Kiri's scene, but Kiri already had this. Kiri already had the setup though. She was squishing people with
the anemone.
Yeah, her powers are there. You don't need to show more. You already have that hook you're interested in. And then you're right. It completely ties everything together with the water people, with the whales. And it provides a good conclusion to that climax. That would have actually been a fantastic way.
Yeah, I just think that there was a little bit more that could have been done with all the elements, because there's tons of elements that you can draw off of in this movie. So many. And who knows? Maybe there's a reason why they didn't do that, but I think you could have made it a little more impactful and kind of closed all those threads. And then the threads that were left open, like the thing with Spider, like Kiri, although Kiri's a good example, but those threads that are left hanging wouldn't seem so egregious. But when there's the threads hanging of like little things, like where did the water tribe go?
Yeah.
Or like that's, obviously inconsequential to the movie. Did I really ask that question a ton of times during? No, but it was on my mind. So I don't know. I think James Cameron should just hire us. We can fix all your movies.
That was a very good pitch for the ending. So you already hit on Loak and Jake having one of the strongest emotional ties in the movie, or one of the emotional scenes in the movie. The other one that like really resonated with me was anything to do with the whale hunting. That was in depth. It went into so much detail about the process. Obviously, what they're harvesting from the whales, the unobtainium, that is an incredible MacGuffin. Has really no relevance. Yeah. It is the weakest.
Also, it's a super MacGuffin, because if you can upload your consciousness to a hard drive, why would you need something that keeps you alive forever?
Exactly. It's a one-off line that literally serves no purpose other than to give a reason to hunt the whales. But you could have had the reason be, okay, it's a relatively easy thing to hunt. It provides a food source for all of our. You could have had 100 different reasons, and it would have been just as strong. But the whale scenes were really sad, and I really liked Loak's whale friend. I thought the whale friend had some of the coolest like cheer moments in the whole movie, where you're gonna just want to like clap for the whale.
Yeah.
So kind of thinking about the whale hunting theme, what were your thoughts on the environmental
aspect
of the storytelling? James Cameron is wanting to say a lot, but he also
doesn't say a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's to be charitable. I think that the environmentalism aspects of the movie are packaged in a way that allow lots of people to consume Avatar 2 and not really, be exposed to they're exposed to the ideas, but they don't really have to engage with it. You could say that's a good thing, because I do think that, and I'd have to look into this because maybe I'm speculating a bit, but with the amount of detail that he goes into with the whale hunting, hunting the whales, you can't help but wonder, okay, is he making a statement about real whale hunting? Because when you look into how whales are hunted, it's quite, it's very stacked in the favor of the people hunting them, and it very much, it's very brutal. So yeah, do I think he's trying to say something? Absolutely. I don't think you create art without having nothing to say, but it's kind of just wearing it as a hat, and it's not really saying. It just says, I love environmentalism, and it doesn't really say how you could fix it, what we could do differently as a species. It really is all just twisted in a way to make you hate the humans, which maybe is the point, but it doesn't say anything about our current situation, and maybe that's asking too much out of a movie like this. But I think that if you're going to have something so detailed as the whale hunting, you kind of have to be saying something about it.
No, I agree with you 100%.
What do you think?
Well, for me, the moral of the story is humans are bad, and we kill everything we touch. It is as one-dimensional,
destructive
as the
force.
kernel is. Yeah. It maybe it would have been better if there was some more complexity. Like maybe we know Earth is dying. Maybe we need to harvest something from Pandora to help give Earth a second chance. Even like just an extra layer, but instead it's, okay, now we're going to be cultivating Pandora for a new home, which, to be honest, that could be enough complexity to make it a little bit more satisfying. But the way that they do it, or the way it's presented, is we're just going to completely raise Pandora from the ground. We're not preserving its nature. We are just going to wipe it clean and start build cities once again. So what's the end goal? Are we just doing Earth 2.0 and are going to kill another planet. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one note. Humans are bad. We are going to destroy everything. We have no care for nature. And you know that's a fine message. But let's add a little bit more.
It uses imperialism and colonialism as like a really just a footnote for the plot. It's not really trying to say anything about colonialism other than that it's bad and that it harms, people. But like, yeah, could you maybe make it a little more, I don't know, not on the nose is not the right. I don't want it to be more apparent. It's too apparent already. Like I think you could make it more subtle and make it a little more complicated than just people are bad and we will expand and consume forever. Because clearly that's not the case for all of humanity. Like Jake was able to be turned. Maybe you could have another faction set up that's like trying to preserve Pandora other than just the Na'vi. It could be a coalition of humans. I don't know. There's tons of things that you could do to make it less one note. And you're right. That's if this movie is guilty of anything, it has a lot of things that are just one note.
So as a whole, where does this sit in terms of the pantheon of sci-fi epics for you? Is this something that you're going to go back and you're going to watch, or you already kind of mentioned that a lot of it's forgettable?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's your relationship with Avatar now, and do you see it being something you're going to look back on and appreciate?
That is a tough one because I really love sci-fi. But luckily, there was another movie that was released recently that I think is the peak tip top of sci-fi, and that's Dune. I think Dune is gonna. Well, I own it. I own multiple copies of it over different streaming services and physically. Would I do that for Avatar? No, I really don't think so. It doesn't have that kind of staying power with me. I'll watch it on Disney Plus maybe before the third one comes out, but it's not gonna be. I'm not clamoring for the 4K like Blu-ray of this movie. That being said, I've kind of expounded on all my thoughts here. To really just sum it up, it's entertaining. It's very watchable, and it is fun in a lot of ways. But if you're looking for something with a little bit more substance, maybe just don't watch any of James Cameron's movies because they are very stylish, not a lot of substance. All that being said, my rating is 2.5 out of 5. Sorry, 3. Sorry, 3 out of 5. It's 3 out of 5. I was like 50%. No, it's like it's a solid 3 stars out of 5.
Okay. You know what? I liked it a little bit more than you. I was entertained enough, and there's just enough characters in terms of Kiri and Loak. And as frustrated as I am with Spider, I still want to see what happens with his character. There's enough in this that I'm excited to see what happens in Avatar 3. I hope it's a bigger scheme. I hope that a lot of our frustrations in terms of some of the lack of substance to the plot, the lack of emotional payoff for certain characters, I hope we get that payoff later on. For a 3-hour and 12-minute movie, surprisingly went by quick.
Very watchable.
Very entertaining. Excellent world building. In fact, it's probably one of the most memorable and fleshed out worlds in terms of a plot setting. Like you can think of iconic sci-fi settings like Arrakis. You can think of like Naboo for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Arrakis is very well fleshed out. I think Pandora is probably, off the top of my head, probably one of the top 5 sci-fi settings.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Great world building. As a rating, I would probably give it at least a 3 out of 5. It would be a strong 3 out of 5, light 4 maybe. It's entertaining.
It's a strong 3 out of 5. I agree. Like it's super entertaining, and not that I didn't like it. I definitely enjoyed lots of parts in it. And I would recommend it to people who want to go really experience it in the cinema. Yeah, do it. I think there's lots to love about seeing it on a big screen. And yeah, I go watch it if you want. If not, wait. It's not going anywhere. Avatar is not going anywhere. And there's nothing to be spoiled in this. Like, I do think, and if you watched to this point, we've already had things spoiled for you if you hadn't seen it already, but it's nice because, you don't have to feel the pressure to go see it. Whereas, like, with Dune, I really wanted to go and see it. I had a lot of incentive to go and see it. Yeah. That's kind of
So, Eric, what are we watching next week, or next podcast, rather?
We are going to watch The Menu next podcast.
Have you got anything spoiled?
No, nothing yet.
Okay.
So I maybe a bit of the plot, but nothing that is of consequence. And if you want to go watch it before we talk about it on the podcast, it is on Disney Plus. So if you own Disney,
wait, it's already on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Maybe that'll be tonight's movie. Didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's available. I guess maybe I shouldn't have said it with such confidence, but I'm pretty sure I saw it on there the other day when I was looking for movies to watch.
You know what? If it's not available on Disney Plus, give it a quick rent.
Looks really good.
You know what? If you watch it and when you listen to our next podcast on it, let us know what your thoughts are on the movie. And if you see an Avatar 2, let us know. Do you agree? Do you think this movie is the pinnacle of cinema that it was touted to be? Do you think it is on its way to zoom past $2 billion and become one of the highest grossing movies of all time? Do you think it deserves to be a 7-part epic? And do you think the interest is going to be there? I don't know. Just let us know what your thoughts are on the movie, and we look forward to having your patronage for the next podcast.
Yeah. Leave us a comment, and you can check us out on patreon.com. It is BTF Pod on there, so you can search that up. And this will be live on our YouTube channel, and there will be an audio version available as well. And that will come out at the same time as the patron video version. And then the video version for YouTube will come out later. There's a bit of a delay. So sign up for our Patreon if you want to see all of that stuff as soon as it releases. And we'll see you in the next one. Hopefully we did not hurt anybody's feelings about Avatar. I know there are some Avatar heads out there who really, really like the series. There's no shade. I think that if you really love this movie, there's nothing wrong with that. There is a lot to love.